Who is a vulnerable adult? Our study will focus on adults, their vulnerability, and the need for them to be protected in a range of community, care, education, and other supported environments. Anyone can be a vulnerable adult who is of adult age and at risk of harm which can occur anywhere, including own homes, public places, care, nursing homes, residential, sheltered housing, social clubs and groups, hospitals including residential psychiatric wards. Vulnerable adults do not understand the meaning or implications of their vulnerability. The statutory guidance, developed by the government, is always to ensure the protection of vulnerable adults. An adult that is considered to be at risk: those suffering with long-term illness or condition for which they receive healthcare, are elderly and weak, have learning difficulties, physical or mental disabilities, sensory impairment, are victims of domestic abuse, being bullied or homeless, detained in psychiatric ward or lawful custody, are unable to make decisions for themselves and requires support and care. As defined in the Care Act 2014, a local authority must act when it has reasonable cause to suspect that an adult in its area, whether or not ordinarily resident there, has needs for care and support, whether or not the authority is meeting any of those needs, is experiencing or is at risk of abuse or neglect, as a result of those needs, is unable to protect himself or herself against the abuse or neglect or the risk of it. There are no defined criteria in which to judge abuse of a vulnerable adult. It is judged upon a range of factors, including the severity of the ill treatment, degree and extent of physical harm, duration and frequency of abuse and neglect, extent of premeditation, degree of threat and coercion, presence of sexual abuse. Sometimes a single traumatic event may account to abuse, such as a violent assault, suffocation or poisoning. More often, abuse is a collection of significant events, both acute and long-standing, which can interrupt, change or damage the vulnerable adult's physical and psychological development. To understand and establish whether abuse has or is likely to occur, it is necessary to consider the vulnerable adult's individual needs, emotional, psychological and behavioural, the ability of the carer, providing support and guidance, setting routines and providing stability, the family and environmental factors, housing, employment, income and community resources, the nature of the harm, ill treatment or the inability to provide adequate care. It is important to recognise that abuse may be caused by acts of both omission and of commission, an adult or young person, a stranger or somebody in a position of trust.